My next guest was drafted in the first round. I'm gonna tell you something. Big fan. Saw this man crush a lot of people on the football field. Disappointed a lot of people thought they were about to make a first down. He stopped them.
Boom.
13 pick, overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals in 1998. He was a two-time All-Pro, a two-time Pro Bowl selection, is one of only 7 linebackers in league history with more than 200 starts while playing with the Bengals, Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and San Diego Chargers. He was named the captain. I love this about leadership. Of the 15 seasons, he was captain 13 times. That says a lot. That's why I wanted you to bring it on the show. A true testament about your leadership and the qualities you have. And also, I wanted to mention this. He, in post-retirement, he's putting an emphasis on education, finishing his bachelor's degree in liberal arts at Auburn, and in December 2016, earning his MBA from the University of Miami. Please welcome to Money Making Conversations, Takeo Spikes.
My man.
That voice. Making money with that voice?
Making money with it. The presence, everything that comes with it.
Well, let me talk about it. I got your book here. It's called The Mask. Now,
behind the mask.
Well, first of all, you wore a helmet all your life.
Yep.
Now you say the mask. Is there any reference there, or helmet mask, or you just mask means something else?
Yeah, it was. I came up with the title just thinking about every day. People used to say, you know what? I know what you look like, but when we look at the rest of the guys, when we try to relate to a lot of the guys who are playing the game, we can't see you because of the mask. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that kind of triggered something in my mind to say, you know what? I want to go behind the mask. That's the reason why I titled my book Behind the Mask, because everybody has a story to be told. And regardless of whatever chosen field,
yes, sir,
endeavor that you're chasing,
yes, sir,
you have a mask. And
right.
So that's why my book is titled Behind the Mask, because I wanted to go behind the mask to figure out what makes you tick, what makes you so different.
You know, here's an interesting thing about you. When I'm reading this is just a short portion of your life. This book is more about the incredible linebackers who have dominated the playing fields over the year, and you're a linebacker. So there was a natural relationship, and I know your next book is going to be running back. So
right.
We may talk about that a little bit before we leave the air today.
Absolutely.
It's a top 3 I want to bring up to you. Your top 3 is.
I hope I got them in there.
Now, the thing about it is that football is something that you understood was your path, was an opportunity. How did you figure that out at a young age?
Well, it started with my parents, and they introduced me to the game at the age of 7, 8 years old, following my brother. And for me, I thought, I didn't know at that time, and a lot of kids to this day still don't know because we put so much weight and emphasis on winning and losing. But the lessons that I got out of the game, playing an organized sport,
yes,
from
sir,
structure, leadership, what you talked about earlier, understanding commitment, understanding that, you know, your best availability is called accountability. If you can't be accountable, then you can't be available. I learned all of those life lessons through the game of football.
Right, and that's why I feel that when I watch football, you know, I've never played the sport. I call that a man's man game. You know, I would tell people, here's the mentality of a football player. He sees somebody running at him at full speed. Instead of him running in the opposite direction, he says, you know something? I'm going to run at him at full speed, and we're going to meet at a point and see who gets pushed off of that point. That's a little man's man to me.
Yeah. It's. I'll be honest with you. And Rashawn, I'll tell you this. I never knew how violent the game it was until I retired in 2013.
Right.
I actually took time. I went back and I was honored. And I went back and I watched the game from the sideline. And I realized this is crazy. It's crazy to see 2 guys. I don't care about my body. I know I don't care about yours, but I wanted to make a point. I wanted to make a point to make sure that my presence was felt, and I made sure that I left a mark that I really wanted to punk you. I wanted to take your soul.
Well, you know, that's important that we understand that we have a little mic issue. So his mic is cut off, and we're kind of sharing the mic right now. But I wanted to make sure that you understand that the physicality, the whole point of what you do as a person is not defined by what you've done in football. It's what you're doing after football. That's why I wanted to bring you on the show. But what I'm saying is that because I feel you're successful now in life because you knew football was just an avenue. You know, it was a sport. I mean, all the way down to the training, the motivation, listening to your coach, all that stuff, man. I'm reading this. I'm going, how?
It was I realized at a young age that it was an avenue, like you said. It really was a leap pad. And the more and more I continued to play the game and saw the bigger picture, like I said, we put so much weight on winning and losing while you actually play. But I slowed down, or somebody slowed me down to really look at the big picture of seeing how the monster works. What exactly does that mean? What's the economics of the game? Like, how does the economics? Why is it that so many people were so excited to see us play
Right.
16 Sundays out of a year? And so that's when I was introduced. I joined the union.
Right.
And then after joining the union, became one of the player representatives that carried a vote for our team,
Right.
the voice of the players.
Right.
That ended up leading me to becoming team captain 13 out of my 15 years,
Right.
even though I played on 5 different teams.
Right.
And so, from that, it really showed me, okay, understand this is not going to be here forever as much as I want it to be. But then it showed me how can I leverage not only my name and likeness, but what I do in this billion-dollar enterprise to be able to have sustainable income after I leave the game.
Okay, let's talk about. Let's go before we go pro though. Auburn, War Eagles.
War Eagles.
War Eagles. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm from Houston, Texas, and so Texas is just like Georgia, all the South. Football is king in Texas. All right, and so as a young man growing up, Auburn was a school I liked. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't an Alabama man. Or I was an Auburn man. I'm telling you, Auburn was the school I liked. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know what it was. It was just something about the War Eagle. So tell me, as you being recruited all over the company, you blue chip. You blue chip.
Yeah.
What attracted you to the war? Tell us about that experience that so many kids are being, that now today with social media, they making announcements on TV, they making announcements on social media. It's just like that boy Zion Williamson. He has over 2 million Instagram followers. He didn't even gotten into the pros yet. So you didn't live under that world. Nope. Tell us the difference.
The difference now is crazy. And you talk about blue chip. I don't even know if they still consider those guys now today coming out of high school blue chippers. If you were considered a blue chipper back in the 90s, early 2000s, that means you were that guy.
Right.
Like you were that guy. So unbelievable experience because I had the opportunity to not only get recruited by one of the finest institutions out there, but being recruited by everybody across the land. Auburn, Florida State. My top 5 teams was Florida State,
Right.
Tennessee,
Right.
Georgia,
Right.
I
Charlie
also
Ward,
looked at
Florida State.
Charlie, yep,
Conrad
Nebraska,
Holloway, Tennessee.
yeah,
Nebraska.
all of that,
the
man.
Glovers.
So all of that. So for me, it was a big honor to be recruited like that.
Right.
But I really would say this. I think now when you look at compared to when I came out to now, and you see these high school players,
Right.
they're getting cover pages of ESPN, the magazine.
I know.
Of every major publication. So for me, when I look at it, the difference is I knew I was good, but I never wanted to kind of rest on my laurels. And that forced me to it put my mindset to, I never knew how good I really was because every morning when I woke up, I was always chasing greatness.
Right.
I wanted to do something different. I wanted my story to be told a little different
Right.
when it was finally over.
Now, you're special, dude. I'm going to just let you know. There's a certain gene in you that makes you unique. I can hear in your voice, and I don't want to say nothing negative, but I feel that you have an emotion that just drives you. That's not normal. That's what I'm saying. It's not, people say not normal. It's not negative. No, it's not negative, because I think you're driven by something that's been instilled in you as a kid. Who were the people who mentored you?
I think I don't think I actually know. Every day when I woke up, I saw my mother and my father.
Yes, sir.
I was fortunate enough to grow up in a 2-parent home, and my father worked all the time.
Right.
And my mother, she was an educator, school teacher.
I can hear in your voice.
So, for me, it was like I hear them talking. It's one thing as a kid to hear what somebody tells you every day, but it's another thing to see it.
Right.
And I had the opportunity, blessed to have the opportunity for my mother and my father to show me what the grind looks like. People talk about the grind, they out here hustling. I saw it every day. And, and people ask me to this day now, like, well, why do you work so hard? Why do you keep going on different shows? Why do you do this and that? Because I'm programmed that way. Like, I never rest on my laurels, and I truly believe that I hustle now as if I never made a dollar playing football.
There you go.
And I have great admiration for what you do. So, and how your family, your success, this going back to Steve Harvey, all of that, man, big admiration. So that's why I do what I do.
Well, the thing about it, and thank you. My wife always says, when people compliment you, please say thank you, because I'm a kind of a person that I don't do this show about me. I do it about you. I do it about exposing, but God has given me the tentacles to be able to have people respect and feel that when they come on this show, it has value to their brand, it has value to their career. When we come back, we're going to talk about this book, The Mask, because he got some linebackers in here, man. They've never tackled me because I was afraid.
Hi, this is Rashawn McDonald. How you doing? You're listening to Money Making Conversation. I was a friend of mine when I was leaving the office. I said Lisa Brown. I said, how do you say his first name? Oh, you call him Key. I said, the Key. Or just call him Spikes. So your name, man, where did you get that name from, man? Well, there's a history behind that name.
There's some history behind the name.
So let's talk about that name first before we start this interview. Let's talk about the origin of that name.
The origin of my name is Japanese. And my mother, when I was born, she wanted to name me after my father. My father, his name was Jimmy Lee Spikes. And he said, no, I don't want him named after me. And she said, why? And he said, well, my name is too old time. And I want him to have a name that represents him and it's in the now. And so she said she didn't know. So I was like, I was like, Mom, how did you pick my name? She was like, I'll be honest with you. I waited 4 days in the hospital. And I was looking at TV and I saw the Prime Minister of Japan get up and speak on TV. And she was like, I didn't know how to say it, but I just thought it was so cool and it felt like royalty. And so she said she looked up what it meant. And the name Takeo, I was named after the Prime Minister, Takeo Makai. And it meant great warrior.
That sounds smooth right
hero.
there, bro. Takeo?
In Japanese. So I was like, Takeo it is. And so that's how I got my name.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. I wanted to make sure we brought that out because, I've been watching you play all those years. I go, how do you get that name? How do you get that name? And that's because that was always a great story. And that's a great passion behind it because it was great thought put into it. And you've carried it well. And a name does
Thank you,
make
sir.
you. A name does. And your father was right. Your father was right. This name right here is you. It is how I do believe if you had a different name, not saying you wouldn't be successful, but it gives you a little bit more pep in your step.
I believe that.
People look at you different. They ask questions about your name. It allows you to have that story. It allows you to be able to communicate. It's turned you into a communicator.
Yeah, it has. It really has. And not only does it opens up the conversation, but to your point, you asked me why. I go around and I meet kids every day, especially when I do autograph signing. And when I come across a name that I haven't seen, and I say, why? Like, who named you and what's the why behind it?
Right.
So it sparks up a lot of conversation.
Right. I know I get that with Rashawn. So I know if I'd have been Ricky, I'd been different.
Yeah.
Rashawn, yeah.
Royalty.
Living good. So let's talk about this book, man, The Mask. First of all, I'm a football nut. In high school, junior high, they used to call me Black Howard Cosell. And so when I see Chuck Bednarik, I'm gonna tell you, to have that name right there and Dick LeBeau name in here, right there. That's some legendary names right there. And then you got Bobby Bell, Kansas City Chief.
Yes, sir.
Woo! Him and Willie Lanier. See, both them boys. See, I'm gonna tell you how important this book is from an African American's perspective. Because see, back in the day, you knew that white players were only reserved for certain positions. Middle linebacker,
Yep.
you had to be white.
Yep.
Center,
Yep.
you had to be white. And quarterback, you had to be white. So Willie Lanier was my first I'm gonna tell you something. My first hero, because he played that position. You know what I'm saying? So know the importance of this book when you start lining up everybody, when you start doing what you've done, and then you go, Cornelius Bennett, he Alabama boy. I forgive him.
We forgive him. We give him
Derrick
forgiveness.
Brooks, Florida State, Harry Carson, New York Giants. Come on, London Fletcher, Washington Redskins, Kevin Green, Carolina Panthers, Ted Hendricks, Oakland Raiders, the Stork,
The Stork.
Ricky Jackson, New Orleans.
Yep.
Will never said Mike Singletary. Them eyes.
Saw him yesterday.
Them eyes, though, brother.
Beady eyes.
And then you. Why did you do this book, and why did you focus on linebackers?
I focused on linebackers because my concept of Behind the Mask, it had no intentions of having these other cast members on.
Yes, sir.
These other great men, great leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
and the more I saw a gap. I think in anything that you do, money-making conversations, whenever you want to meet somebody,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a need, and you have to find that need. And so
Right.
the need that I saw was when I was hearing their stories told, or some of their stories being told, it was either diluted,
Yes, sir.
or it was not told to the extent
Mm-hmm.
with the passion that it deserved.
Mhm.
And so for me, I was like, you know what? This is not only will I share my story, I'm going to go around and interview every guy. And every linebacker comes from a different decade.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You talked about Willie Lanier, knowing the history of the game. This is not just a football book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book about leadership. It's a book about perseverance. It's a book about discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked a guy out of every decade to share their story
Mm-hmm.
of how did they become great.
Mhm.
What made you an outlier? What was that defining moment
Mm-hmm.
when you were a kid
Mhm.
and you said, you know what? I am going to sacrifice everything for an idea or a dream that I have. And I visited every guy for a 2-year time period, spent the day with them, and I got their story
Right.
of their defining moment.
Mhm.
And so when you look through the book and you read the stories drives the images, and the images drives the story. So I just thought it was a great way for me to be able to not only share their story, but allow them to be the author of their own autobiography.
Well, I think it's important that the story is important. Like I was telling you how each one of these stories affected me, or still affect me, because of the fact that, when you going through life, man, it's different now, because they can see social media, they see kids are seeing people, and they think that athletes had this rite of passage all their lives, and sometimes then there's certain things that happen, they check you. You still an athlete, okay? And when I look at what you're doing with this book, like you said, it's different eras. When I see Derrick Brooks, such a humble person, you know what I'm saying, and the great Harry Carson, who played with LT in the Giants, with those great giant teams, and Fletcher, small, compact, a fearsome force. When you look at all these linebackers, these great linebackers, where do you fall athletically? Like, I took a little bit of this. I symbolize this type of persona, or this type of physicality when you start lining up these linebackers.
When I look at every guy, to me, I split it down the middle. One side is like, what traits do I see what they have, and how can I incorporate that into my game?
Yes, sir.
And, I look at Chuck Bednarik. He was the last of the 60-minute men, meaning he played both ways, offense and the defensive side. Concrete Charlie was his nickname. So for me, I wanted to be hard like Concrete Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about Mike Singletary, nobody ever can recreate or try to, what they say, impersonation is the best form of flattery. But Mike for me, it took me to get like fierce mad to even come close to his eyes. And I still didn't accomplish that.
Right.
But the intimidation factor of Mike Singletary is what I really appreciated. I look at Derrick Brooks. A lot of people don't know, but Derrick Brooks, how you say humble, reserved guy, but his faith jumps out more than anything. And he didn't care about necessarily football, sports itself, but his family, his faith was so strong that it led him to the game of football. And that would really propel him to be the Hall of Famer that he is today. So from all of those attributes that these guys had, I kind of picked a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
And, and it was very fun to hear their story.
Well, I agree. because I the humbleness, that tone, Derek Brookish. You know what I'm saying? I've watched you play. The physicality, the sense of centered, Singletary all the way.
Yeah.
But like I said, those magical eyes he had, you can't.
Yeah.
That was God. Them eyes were God given. You
God-given.
can't replace those eyes. So I know we got a few minutes left. I want to talk about this next book you're gonna write about these running backs.
Yes.
Right now we're talking about the mask, behind the mask, and the linebacker edition. Now you're gonna have a running back edition coming out.
Yes, sir.
Running back edition.
Yes.
Okay. All right now. Here's my all time. Emmitt Smith ain't in it. Like,
what?
No, Eric Dickerson ain't in it.
Ooh.
They ain't. I'm gonna mess him up. I'm gonna just start kicking people to the curb. You know. It's got to start with Jim Brown. Got this together. They played.
Listen, totally agree.
12 games. All they were doing 12 games back then. All them yards he ran up from just 12 games. Okay.
12 games.
Then I got to go to Barry Sanders.
I'm in the same kitchen with you, Coach. Chef, I'm in the same. Hey, I know you can cook too. I'm in the same kitchen with you.
Then I got to finish up with who I thought was the greatest physical running back that matched speed simultaneously, the Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell.
Listen, love Earl Campbell. One of the first players I saw as a little jit, as a youngster. I thought he played linebacker.
Woo!
That's how hard he played the game. Alongside Walter Payton,
Come
Sweetness.
on now. I know. See,
Yeah.
with that, but I'm just talking about these are three different players. You know what I'm saying? And Walter Payton, let me tell you something. Walter Payton gifted, but I was never afraid of Walter Payton. I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
I was never afraid of him. Earl Campbell, come on now. Earl Campbell was a beast.
Earl Campbell was 1-800-LOOK-YOU-UP.
Yes, sir.
And he will step through your chest.
And Barry Sanders, hello, goodbye.
I got a great story about Barry Sanders when we come back.
Whew. Oh man, we done here, man. We gotta wrap up here.
We got to wrap up?
Yeah, I gotta bring you back.
Yeah, you got to bring me back.
Here's the deal. Okay, this is our first time. Can you come back next month?
Absolutely.
Okay, because see, now we got a relationship here.
Yep.
If you don't have time, we just do it on the phone because I want to bring you back. Because I'm just telling you, your talents are so unique that I want to be a part of your club.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I want to be, because I got some things that I'm doing in the sports world that I want to sit down and talk to you about.
Okay.
And we're going to win. But right now, you got this great book called Behind the Mask.
Right on.
And you got the running back, it's the linebacker edition here. And guess what? You're a leader, my brother. Leader on the field, off the field, and in education. And thank both your parents. Because your mama named you right.
God bless and thank
and your
you for
daddy was
having
right,
me.
too. And saying, don't follow my name, follow your own. Thank you for coming on my show.